actual backup, Teddy Bridgewater, has he really made an impression on you in the last 6 months, especially seeing him run this playbook for the first time?
Yeah. So obviously we know how that all transpired last year. He came in right before the season, so big learning curve. You're jumping right into a regular season with a new offense and a lot of new things. So I think our coaches, him, they've all looked forward to this offseason where he could get a lot of reps and a lot of time under his belt. And there's no doubt he's an extremely talented guy, but he works at it, and I think this offense suits him very well. A lot of things that we do and a lot of the capabilities that we have, and obviously with the creativity that we're able to incorporate to everything we do. So I think guys have a comfort level with him. I think he's got a great comfort level with the offense, and he's shown that throughout camp.
Joe, what's the adjustment been like with Eric McCoy at center, just kind of getting used to him?
Yeah, I mean, just like any new center, and just the pace at which we operate. Each week we started adding stuff, and I think in the beginning you try to just be very basic and very elementary, and then as you get going, you try to make it a bit more complicated, just to, and we threw him in the fire. So I think that's the only way you really get better, and you got to stress yourself a little bit and put yourself in those uncomfortable situations. And I think all that's going to do is serve you well down the road as we continue to get more reps together, and then, as an offense, we kind of put in the whole playbook. But there's just so much communication that happens between quarterback and center, and so, add up the reps that we've had during OTAs and minicamp, it's really not that many, compared to a guy like, Max Unger, or a guy like Jonathan Goodwin, or, other centers that we've had here that just, training camp, we're going to get, 50 times as many reps as we got here in the last couple of days. So that'll be really good for both of us.
Drew, how would you compare Ingram and Murray? I mean, when you watch film and the expectations, obviously, with Murray going forward.
Yeah. Obviously, I was very familiar with Mark, played together for 8 years. Latavius has impressed me in a lot of ways. He's such a big physical guy. Obviously, we're not in pads out here, so you can't comment on a ton of just, the pure running style or physicality or anything yet. Certainly, from watching on film from Oakland to Minnesota, he definitely plays with that edge. I think he's picked up the offense well thus far, and it's nice when you can have two backs. Obviously for the last 2 years with Mark and Alvin, gives you a lot of flexibility and gives you a lot of creativity. So hopefully that'll be the same with him.
Going back to Alvin, thinking back on his rookie year, offseason, was there a moment where you realized how special he could be?
Yeah, obviously we'd signed Adrian. So we had Adrian and Mark, and then you bring in Alvin, and it was just one of those where he just needed repetition, right? And so early on, a lot of those reps were going to Mark, they were going to Adrian Peterson, and so it wasn't until, during training camp, you'd see flashes, but I don't think it was until maybe that Miami game in London, right, where all of a sudden Alvin goes off and you realize, man, this could be a feature guy, not just a third down, scat back, get him out of the backfield, get him in space. He can do everything, and I think hence was the decision then to trade Adrian, and then Alvin became a staple.
How would you describe his mental approach to the game, or his curiosity about what you know and things like that?
You talking about Alvin?
Yeah.
You talking about the way that he comes to me for that information? No, is that what you're asking?
Well, we're under the impression that he somehow wants to emulate you in terms of understanding how to read defenses and what the scheme of the play.
That's why he put the red jersey on today. He thought it was like some Superman cape. It's just like magically it would happen. He's a highly intelligent guy. He's pretty inquisitive. I think he's just he's such a fun-loving guy too. When he's out here, it's that great mix of he knows when to work, but he's going to have fun doing it. And he does have a thirst for knowledge. You know, whenever there's something that comes up and I grab him and we start talking about something, it's not. I mean, it's one of these like, okay, I hear it, I'm absorbing it, I'm visualizing it, and then I can go out and execute it. I mean, there's a level of awareness with him that I think is unique. He picks up on things very quickly. I think that's unique. And so then combine that with exceptional athletic skills, and you get the player that he is.
Drew, how difficult is the current situation for you? Can you say anything about, has it been taxing for you, or?
Yeah, it's been very stressful, and it's ongoing, but, you know, we'll get through it.
But to not be here, you know, and be away is kind of
it was
weird
tough.
for you, too.
Yeah, very tough, very tough. Obviously, I'm quarterback of this football team. You know, I want to be with the team, but unfortunately, there was things that were a bit out of our control that we had to take care of, and so take care of that and take life as it comes.
Were you with the team last week when they went to the D-Day Museum?
No.
At what point did you allow yourself to move past the way last year ended and into 2019? Was that a difficult process?
Say that one more time.
At what point did you move past the way last season ended and towards the 2019 season?
You know, it took a while, but you know, once I get into my training, you know, March, April, and then obviously May, I become very focused on the things I need to work on to get better, and circle up with all my mentors, the guys that have meant so much to me over the course of my career, and tell me how it is, and you know, we come up with a plan and a process for how I'm going to get better and approach the offseason. So I did that this offseason just like I always do. Had some new wrinkles to work on, which was good, and feel really good about where that's brought me thus far.
Last question, guys.
Drew, in your experience, a player like Marshawn, who's had a lot of success his first 2 years, how does somebody take that and build on it and kind of continue to grow?
You know, you know, he's another guy who, you're kind of interesting, maybe like Alvin in some ways, where there's this obviously athletic ability, this skill set that fits very well with being a great player, but there's some smarts, you know, there's some intellect, there's some awareness that exists that is a bit unusual for such a young player, and so wherever that comes from, however that was developed, it's obviously a great trait, and you know, something that has allowed him over the last 2 years to just continue to get better. And I think that's what I appreciate is, I think it's very easy for a guy who experiences early success to feel like it's just natural and it's just going to happen. And man, that's not the way it works in this league. And you got to work at it each and every year. And it's almost like the better you become, and the more they're gunning for you, right? And so I think Marshawn realizes that, and you know, no better opportunity than every day in practice for him and Mike Thomas to go at it, right? You know, you talk about two of the best in the game. So I think, you know, it's that adage, iron sharpens iron. You know, those guys, I think, make each other better, and in turn make the team better. All right, guys. Thanks.